Hello and welcome to my first video of my second channel, which is going to be Ashley Kate OnlyFans journey, I guess, if you will. I started OnlyFans probably 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, more or less. So it's June 2025. I started like the end of May. And my thoughts on the platform so far. If you have never done social media before, if you have never done any kind of sex work before, be very mindful of what you're getting yourself into, because I honestly thought that, and this was my logic and reasoning going into it, that I was going to post kind of like boudoir pics, if you will. My whole shtick was going to be like an OnlyFans angel, because in life, in actually real life, my name is not Ashley Kate. I'm not going to actually give my real full name on YouTube, but I use that as like a stage name just because it's the persona of like what I wanted to go off of. Also, the main reason as well is because for the sake of anonymity, right? I've already had 2 experiences with individuals that have been less than pleasant and veer on the lines of harassment, which another content creator, her name is Melrose Michaels. If you have not checked out her channel, I highly advise you do so, because she has given information that's so valuable going into it. And also the channel Creators for Beginners, All Natural Mama. Oh my gosh, there's another one. Michaela Samantri is another one. I'm trying to remember all the ones I watched. Dee Marie, she's another one on YouTube. Daisy June, or June Daisy, forgive me, I can't remember the names, but I've watched a lot of different videos on this, and it's interesting because this is not something I ever imagined myself to be doing. Myself as a person, if you haven't, I'm going to link my other YouTube channel, and it's a very small, when I say very small YouTube channel, I have like 60 subscribers, which to me is a win, because I didn't think I would get any. But even though I think majority of my content is like people watching my dog, which is totally fine, that's fine. I always say, but if I was able to enlighten one person, then mission accomplished. I don't need like 1,000 followers. I mean, it would be nice because YouTube monetizes you once you get to like, I think 1,000 if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm doing this as another form, be totally honest, to promote the OnlyFans, right? But also to document my journey, because when I say I'm literally like I started with 0 followers. So on OnlyFans right now I have like, I think 43, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna just check here really quickly to go to my profile. No, sorry, I take it back, I have 46. Now, of those 46, are the ones that are following me, are they actually like dedicated followers, like meaning like they're commenting, they're liking, they're buying content? I'm gonna try to do some statistical analysis on that later on, like data analytics. I created like an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm gonna try to figure out if I can track like who are the people that are like actually, buying content. Content creation is super new to me also. Very, very foreign to it. I never even imagined myself being in front of my camera on my computer. The only reason I'm doing that is because before doing any form of like vlogging or, speaking directly about a certain topic or issue, I was vlogging myself personally, like doing my own video diary for myself, just for my own recollection, because I told myself, what if I write a book one day, or like, I want to like, put a crash course out on a certain, subject, or how to overcome trauma, whatever, that's the reason why I was kind of just vlogging my life on my own, like doing a video diary where I talk on to myself. So gaining confidence to do anything such as like OnlyFans, that actually, it's funny the way life turns out, because again, there was kind of like this progression that I didn't even realize until I started doing it, that I was like, wait a second, oh my gosh, I kind of like was setting myself up for basically getting ready to, you know, do kind of stuff like this. A little bit of my background and how I came about to getting into doing OnlyFans. I have to be honest and say that, like, it's not something I ever thought I would be doing, number one. I didn't aspire to do this, number two. When I was a kid, I wanted to either be a veterinarian or a second grade teacher. None of those things came to fruition because I couldn't be a veterinarian, because I could not put animals down, like, to sleep, like, you know, through, like, you know, when you do euthanasia, that kind of thing. I just couldn't, unless it was a snake. If it was a snake, if it was a frog, reptiles, I don't do reptiles. I'm not a fan of reptiles, unless it's a cute little teeny tiny tree frog. That is okay. But like the slimy, like, no, I can't do that. But yeah, so a little bit more about my experience. I came from a hospitality background. I was a waitress since I was 17, so I'm 33 now. You do the math. I stopped waitressing at like 29. No, I take it back, 30 years old, because I worked briefly for like a month or two at a Ruth Chris in Philadelphia. So I did that, and then I also worked in healthcare as well as a child life specialist. I don't mind saying child life specialist because I'm not using my actual name, so I don't want to, you know, have the child life community be like, oh my gosh, one of our specialists is doing erotic, you know, boudoir lingerie photos, you know. But the thing is, what someone does is in their home is their private business, and that's why actually it is kind of good, I think, that I'm doing this not like while I'm doing a full-time job in like a professional setting, because I do think, in all honesty, I do think there is a stigma associated to it. Like, there's some camp of women who are like, yeah, women empowerment, go you do you, you know, love your body, you know, free the nipple kind of thing. And then there's like another camp of people that are like, you're a whore, you know, you're a prostitute, you know, you're a whatever, and you know, you're sinful, you're never gonna go to heaven, you're gonna go to hell, and you know, you're possessed by the devil. And it's like, if people knew, like, it's funny that I'm actually like, I'm a very faith-based person. I never try to push faith on anybody. I actually did a video about this on my other channel, Coffee and Cuppies, where I talked about how to navigate pleasure and intimacy as a Christian woman, because I struggled with that. Like, I literally was like, before OnlyFans, I literally struggled with like sex and like pleasure. Like, I felt like it was sinful, to be honest. So I really have come a long way, but like how I got into it, like I said, I worked as a server, I worked in hospitality. I will say that the sequence of events that led to me doing it are not like, oh, you know, it's kind of like tragic, if anything. I've kind of been a victim of not physical abuse, but like more so narcissistic abuse, psychological warfare, spiritual warfare, stalking, hacking, cyberbullying, all this stuff that you never want to experience in your life. I was a victim of that. And like heavy, almost like narcissistic programming to like, you know, belittle me and pick on me. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of that, but I'm just highlighting it so I can explain why and how I got into like doing this kind of work. Because it is work, you know. I never thought of it like that. If you asked me if I was a little girl, would I be posting pictures of intimate areas of my body? No. In a million years, no. Like I said, I kind of my goal, if I could have a dream, I would like literally have like an animal sanctuary and like adopt like chickens and goats, or like have a farm, you know. but like also be like in a city where there's like, it's a city, but then there's like countryside, so it's peaceful and quiet and stuff like that, and you can watch the sunset over like rolling hills. Like, oh my gosh, that would be a dream. But no, I did not expect to be doing this at 33 years old. Because of what I went through, my mental health suffered. I didn't really get the kind of help. I got emotional support from like therapy and stuff, but I didn't get the help that I needed from like the justice system. Like when I approach a justice system about what happened, and again, I only want to give small minor details so I can show the trajectory of how I got to where I am today. But yeah, I didn't really get that much help, so it really just, it did a number on me, like psychosocially. My mental health suffered, my well-being suffered. I was diagnosed with moderate like depression, anxiety. I had panic attacks, PTSD, never bipolar disorder, never schizophrenia, thank goodness, and thank God, because I don't even want to know how people I did study. I should mention I have my master's in developmental psychology, so I understand the DSM, which is like the diagnostic manual for like mental health disorders, and there's different varying editions, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're on DSM 5 if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on it. I'm not a licensed psychologist, I'm not a licensed therapist, even though my goal one day, I would love to be able to become a licensed mental health counselor and help people and then have my own private practice. My goal before all this, I was actually going to OT school. Not going, I'm sorry, I take it back. I was pre-OT studies, and I got into OT school, but I moved out of my hometown in Florida because of everything that happened and transpired, and I kind of just progressively inched my way up unintentionally up the East Coast, which on my bucket list I actually put that I wanted to go up the East Coast, so it worked out in my favor in that respect, but I didn't get to enjoy it in the way where it was like of leisure. It was because of survival, essentially. I know I don't look like what I've been through. If I explained a half of everything I've gone through, people would be like, yeah, she's bluffing. There's no way that she's suffered from that much trauma. I wear pain very well. And if you watch my other channel, Coffee and Cuppies, you'll see what that experience is like and how I'm recuperating and recovering from that trauma. And it's basically psychological warfare up the wazoo and to the max. And I've shared my story about what happened to me on there, but I want to focus this channel, because I'm going to start a separate channel, more so on like OnlyFans and like my journey of to like, trying to become let me preface this, I don't want to compete with the other. There's women in this field that are probably really good at looking sexy and seductive and like, doing all the very out there things that I cannot get to. So I have much respect for them, and I'm not going to put them down or degrade them, because they are human beings and they're working. And some people are going to look at this stuff and be like, this is so salacious, it's so perverse, and there's men that are so lonely that they're going to pay for money. Well, I think the niche that I'm catering to is not going to be that kind of guy who's, the high roller at the casino kind of guy, or the guy who escorts or prostitutes. I'm not looking for that. I'm not even looking. I've already had men reach out to me and ask me if I want to be their sugar baby, and I don't. So I want to be in charge of my own content. I'm doing it as like almost like a side hustle, because I honestly, I thought, oh, you can post your pictures up and like, it's gonna be instantaneous, you're gonna get tons of visibility. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, because my logic was, which, let me go back to my story because I don't want to go all over the place. Because of what happened to me, like the detrimental effects and sequence of events that transpired starting from 2021 on, I resigned from a position that I worked at a hospital because I was so distracted and disoriented that, and distraught, triple D's. No, I wasn't saying that I'm not a triple D in this size. I'm actually not. I'm just, it was supposed to be a funny pun, but, I was dazed, distracted, and distraught, and disoriented, quadruple D, and so I took it upon myself. I said, and I like to think as a person I have much self-awareness, and I told myself, I cannot be in an ICU, because I worked in critical care medicine. I worked in a cardiac unit with kids who were in like high risk for like cardiac arrest or cardiac failure. So I did that. I also worked in a NICU at one point and as a child life specialist. Do I miss it? Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I will be honest, I miss being able to help people. Um, if I cry a little bit, I apologize, because it gets to me, because I worked really hard for that career. Um, and people can be really mean. When I say bullies, I mean like adult bullies. They can be really mean, and it's something that I never thought I'd be experiencing. So I've kind of learned to just turn pain into power, and it acted, the bullying. I will say that one thing about me is I'm extremely tenacious and resilient, and I literally take pain and I turn it into power. I take adversity and I'm like, okay, if God is putting me through this situation, through this trial and tribulation, or my soul is, I'm going to use this as a catalyst for change within myself, right? Because to me, I think everything is a learning experience, and we're a mirror. Everyone that we meet is a mirror to ourselves, right? So like, if someone triggers me, I need to learn how to bite my tongue. I need to learn how to be less provoked, right? So I don't look back on it and be like, oh my God. Sometimes I do, and I go, how can people be this egregious and this malicious? But I said, you know what? I'm gonna make the best of it. And so, in lieu of that, I will say I have been unemployed. I still am unemployed, so to speak. But I had a job after I left the job in Philadelphia in 2023. That was January 2023. I spent almost a year and a half, actually, just being by myself and like self-isolating on purpose, not because I was antisocial, just because I just needed time to myself. I did date. This was back when I was living in Virginia. So I went from Miami to Philadelphia, Philadelphia to Virginia, Virginia to Vermont. And this was all within the span of 4 years, right? No, sorry, 2022 to 2025, so 3 years. And I have grown a lot, I have learned a lot, and like I said, I wear pain really well. I've kind of considered myself, not in a vain, narcissistic way, but kind of like a Wonder Woman. You think of Linda Carter when she's like this, and I kind of equate myself to that. If I could choose any DC character, I would say I'm definitely Wonder Woman, 100%. And then in Marvel, I would say I'm probably like, I don't know if it's Black Widow or probably like Captain Marvel, I would think. Or Madam Web. I know Madam Web doesn't get that much notoriety, but I would say, because I do feel like I have the cosmic kind of insight and intuition, so if you've never watched Madam Web, go watch it. It's a good movie. Dakota Johnson did a good job in that, I think. But anyways, yeah, it kind of just, all this stuff took a toll on me, and I thought it was in my best interest to leave the field that I was in. I'm still certified. Mind you, my certification ends this year in December. It's a 5-year cycle as a child life specialist, so I would need to recertify by having a certain amount of PDUs, which I don't honestly know if I'm going to be able to fulfill, which is going to be really sad, because I had to do an internship and a practicum to become certified, and as a child life specialist. If you don't know what child life specialists are, go check it out. It's a wonderful field. I don't have anything bad to say about the field necessarily. I will say the people I've worked with, some of them have been less than forthright or kind, because it's a very female-dominated industry. So, it's, imagine like sometimes you get to a hospital, if you're in a larger program, it could honestly feel, I've never been in a sorority, but sometimes I think I equate it to like, man, this is what a sorority would feel like, which I never did. I was never in a sorority, or a sorority sister, if you will, but I don't want to bash sororities, because there are probably some really great sororities out there. So yeah, just trying to think of sequence of events that happened. But I was a teacher for a little bit, and an early childhood educator. I did that for 4 months in Virginia, from January 2024 to April 2024, and then after that, I moved here to Vermont, took another teaching job at a preschool. Didn't work out. Girls were not so nice to me, unfortunately, and I don't understand why, because I treat everyone kindly and fairly. I'm definitely not a bitch. I'm not like, you think of like Regina George in like in Mean Girls. I would be like, if anything, the Katie Heron character, like the, you know, awkward, in the beginning it's awkward and then she kind of blossomed, into her own or whatever. But I've never been I can't really call myself a mean girl. I'm more so the person that if I could help out people, I would. Put it this way, I'm the type of person, my finances were in the pits at one point and I was still donating money to American Red Cross. There's a homeless shelter for youth called Spectrum in our city, and I was donating to the Children's Cancer Research Fund, which I realized I didn't have the money for. So, but I still did it anyways because I care about, those causes, and philanthropy. But yeah, so I decided, first of all, well, let me backtrack a little bit, because I started to do research on OnlyFans and I said, let me look into this before I do it, right? Because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I found out about a website called Friendly through OnlyFans. Not through OnlyFans, excuse me. I was YouTubing videos about OnlyFans and found out about a website called Friendly, which is advertised as a dating site. And the premise or the shtick of it is it's all only virtual. You only talk to people online. You don't meet them in person. You can't give out your contact information. You can't promote OnlyFans. You can't, which I didn't know until after. Innocently, I did not know. I'm being completely wholeheartedly candid and honest about that. I did not know you cannot promote OnlyFans on there. Because I initially thought, because when I was looking up OnlyFans videos on YouTube, the Friendly site popped up. Legitimately, like it would say, oh, one girl literally did a whole video. She's like, how much I made on Friendly in a week, and I had no idea what it was. And so I hadn't clicked on one of those videos yet. I just remember seeing a thumbnail with the words Friendly, so I typed it out. And this is, mind you, like recently, back like in May when I started it. And so I told myself, let me sign up for that. I did. Immediately, oh my god, immediately I didn't know what I was getting into. They ask you to take a picture of yourself. I did mine through my webcam on my MacBook Air, and I did one like this, like cute little, and they make it into a GIF, like Giphy, that's like a motion, activated Giphy. And so you put like your details, and then you put they asked for my, which I didn't know why at the beginning. I really did not know why they did this. They asked for my social security number, they asked for a credit card, and then you fill out like a personality quiz. And I was like, I do not understand any, because I legitimately thought it was, I signed up for OnlyFans the same night I signed up for Friendly. And I had to do like the verification with the selfie. And I remember the moment I did it, I was like, I cannot believe I'm doing this, but I was like, I'm going to do it. Because I don't run away from adversity, I don't run away from challenges, I face them head on, completely. So, yeah, but I did that. And the verification process for Friendly, I think I can't remember, I think I was approved, like, right away. For OnlyFans, I wasn't. Or OnlyFans, I didn't have a good selfie, I think. And I also, to make sure, if you do OnlyFans, by the way, you have to make sure that you have somewhat of a social media following, ish. Or I think I created an Instagram account, I think that night, with my same, like, OnlyFans name, Ashley Kate 33. And then, I did Friendly, but like I said, OnlyFans, when I did it, they didn't approve me the first time. And I wasn't livid, but I was kind of like, oh god, like, my dreams were, I was like, oh crap, this is gonna, fall through, it's not gonna work out. And then in true Ashley form, when I'm told no, I don't take it as an answer. So I wrote them back, and I wrote the appeals or whatever, and I was like, hey, I'm really trying to whatever, I'm not working right. I literally wrote like kind of like a cover letter as to why I want to be on this platform, right? Which I never thought I'd be doing, but I did. And I explained like what my, and if anyone's wondering what that's like, if you don't get if you're not approved, they give you the reasons why. And I think I ascertained that the reason why I did not get approved initially in the beginning was my selfie was not good. They need like a selfie with good lighting, holding your driver's license, and you need to kind of make sure you look like your driver's license, right? You need to, so I put it up close to the camera, and I did like the best selfie that I could. And then I sent it off. And I created a Twitter, I have yet to use Twitter that much, I'll be honest. I don't know how to use it. I'm going to be very candid. I don't know how to use social media, period. Like that at all. I had one social media account when I was living back in Florida, and that was for my yoga, when I was teaching yoga at Burn Boot Camp in Miami. And which is now that studio is closed, but I was promoting the weekend class and the weekly classes I taught privately to different families in the community in South Florida. So I think I got like maybe 160, 180 followers on that account. But I had consistent like engagement with the people. So I'm very one, which is my philosophy, which may not apply to other people. I'm very big on quality over quantity. So really quick anecdote and side note. A lot of people I think are pushing, when you talk about OnlyFans, are like, you have to get followers, you have to get subscribers or whatever. When I apply the mentality of when I was a waitress and did sales for a year in a high-end luxury yachting company, I apply the same skills that I did there to the OnlyFans, which is when I did sales and I did waitressing, I didn't focus on the sale. Of course the goal is to make the sale, right? But I am more focused on providing a pleasurable experience, literally across all industries, right? For the consumer. And how you do that is I don't focus on the bill, I don't focus on pricing, even though I know in the back of my mind my managers want me to upsell, right? Upsell that bottle of wine, upsell the try to sell the Camus, try to push the Opus One, try to push whatever, and try to push the $1,000 stateroom when I was working in sales in the yachting company. But I focused on creating the relationships with the people that I would say servicing, but I was, providing a service to as like a waitress. So for me, I focus on, like I said, quality over quantity, because you can have, this is my philosophy, you can have 1,000 followers, right? Or 1,000 subscribers, but you could have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people who are like your loyal customers. Like when I was a waitress, let me explain my logic. When I was a waitress, I had one table come in. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but like Mr. B, let's call him Mr. B because his last name started with a B. He worked in like the medicine, like the kind of healthcare, but like holistic medicine, if you will. And he was supplying this supplement that's like really well known to help people cope with like anxiety and stress and stuff like that. It wasn't marijuana, it was something different. So he would come with his family, which were it would range from 12 to 15 people. And I took care of him once, and after that I became his main server. And he spent upwards about $600 to $800. Now, mind you, my shift I started at 6 o'clock sometimes at the restaurant, and this is back in Miami. And he would spend a lot of money, and but this guy was a stickler. He wanted his chicken Milanese super scallopini, which means I'm talking, when I say pounded thin, I mean like pounded thin. Like, and there's a point I'm making to this in terms of like OnlyFans and stuff, but like he wanted it pounded super, that sounds like a pun, pounded. Anyways, he wanted it pounded really thin, and he would go sometimes even to the kitchen and like talk to the chef about it. Go figure. But that's what he wanted. So I made sure as a waitress, when I saw his name on the books, I told the chef that night, hey, Mr. B is coming in at so-and-so time. Make sure that we have everything ready for him. And literally I would watch the chef and the sous chef. I would make sure that they prepped the chicken the right way, down to like the way they floured it and put the bread in. I'm not kidding. I was also the trainer at this restaurant as well, because I wanted everything to be perfect. If it was not perfect, it was not acceptable to me. So, in that regard, my point in saying is he spent upwards of $600. He then would tip me at the end between $200 to $300. And he would tip the busser and the maitre d' and the manager that night $100 each. But as a server, he would tip me like $200. Once it was $300. I'm not kidding. Why do I say this? That was one table, one party, one family. Meanwhile, a bunch of other servers had to do at least 5 to 10, maybe 15 tables of 2 tops, 4 tops, 6 tops, 5 tops, 2 tops again, 1 top, just to make what I made in one table. So, when we talk about like you want a bunch of subscribers and whatever, yes, you're gonna make there's probably people on OnlyFans who make a lot of money doing, you know, a lot of different things, because the more you show and the more you do, the more money you make, right? But to me, I look at it like another way is if you can have 1 or 2 or 3 people who are your solid people who you know who are going to support you, you can do a lot with that. Another example, when I worked at another restaurant in Miami, I had a 2-top one time. This 2-top spent almost $500 to $600. They left, I think, a $200 tip, right? Or they spent a lot of money. They bought like an appetizer that's $100 at least, bottle of wine, dessert. I think they split a very large steak, and yeah, so they ended up spending a good amount of money. I was tipped appropriately and fashionably, and I was very grateful for that. But I also made sure, again, that the service was exemplary, meaning there was when the table had to be changed and manicured, I made sure that within 30 seconds to a minute, the server system that I had would make sure to set the table appropriately. If the appetizer wasn't out in between 2 minutes from the time that I placed in the computer, I would check and make sure and go back and forth to the kitchen. So I was constantly like working the floor, going, you know. So I apply that same methodology and mentality to what I'm doing now to OnlyFans. And the reason why like I said, I'm mentioning quality over quantity, you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, from what I've gathered in the first like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of doing it, I think it's 2 weeks I've been doing it, you're going to hear people, oh, get more subscribers, and they're going to put thumbnails on YouTube, how to get more subscribers, but a lot of those are OnlyFans agencies saying that, and a lot of them I realize, because I've listened to them, I do my research, I realize anything that I undertake, anything, whether it's in healthcare, hospitality, sales, health, fitness, I become like a little like I have laser focus, and I go, let me learn all about this, right? Because I want to do it in the proper fashion. So a lot of that, they're going to talk about it. Some, I will be honest, they have this, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, because probably the top OnlyFans creators, they became wealthy because of this tactic. But what they do is apparently they put chatters on someone's page. So what that means is that the person who's getting all these, you know, messages, they're not really speaking to the person, the actual girl. They're talking to someone who's trained. They basically get their photos, they get all the details about the girl, and then they have the chatter. They hire a person to send the DM. So if you've never done OnlyFans, you'd understand what I mean, but basically you have a page where you can get your DMs just like you would for Instagram, and you can write back and forth and correspond with the people that follow you. And apparently some people who gain such a following, they can't manage all of the, you know, inquiries or the requests, right? So they put someone on the account to handle it. Now, I can understand if someone gets that big where they would need that, but I don't think, to be honest, I don't really think I'd want 1,000 or 2,000 or 500,000 people following me, because then I know I wouldn't be able to provide a genuine, authentic experience, right? So I want to be able to engage with that person. I want to be able, and not give anything. I'm when I did serving and when I was in sales, I never ever focused on the goal. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but I never focused on the goal of selling. I focused on the goal of catering to the needs of the person, their wants, their desires, and building a relationship with that person so that they began to trust me, right? Because you're not going to buy something from someone that they don't trust you, right? So I made sure to offer a genuine experience, a pleasurable, a memorable experience for everybody. I wanted someone, even if I didn't make a sale on the phone that day, what I did was I would say, okay, we didn't discuss whatever, maybe we can have a follow-up phone call. But first I focused on building rapport, discovering what that person liked, and then kind of going off of that, right? Was I like a high-ticket closer? I don't know, I can't really say that. I just focused on making sure that the client or the customer was happy. And I'm applying, again, that same philosophy or methodology to what I'm doing in OnlyFans. So if you're starting out and you're like, you know, how do I gain a bunch of followers? Don't think of it that way. Yes, you're gonna want people. You can't have a page without people on it, which brings me back to the other aspect of it. How did I get the people that I started with? Well, I did, which I didn't know until in the beginning. I went on the site Friendly, and I would talk to the people there, and I thought it was just like a site to gain people for OnlyFans. I did not know it was like they advertise it as a dating site, but you keep only the connections within. And let me tell you, I was, oh my god, I was thrown into like, I didn't, okay, the other side of it, the girls that these men talk to, or you could be a man offering the service to talk to women, right? But how it works is that a man will reach out to you, and you have the option of doing a phone call, like an actual phone call. You can do a video chat, or you can chat with them, like instant messaging, right? Um, the subject matter can range from anything from being mild, in context, to like, hey, how's it going? Where do you live? Oh, I'm in Vermont. Oh, okay. You're in California. Oh, great. That's cool. What's the weather like? Very like, not say mediocre, but very casual, blasé, you know, easygoing, bland, right? And then it can get to moderate, to where it's like, you're getting a little spicy, and you talk about things like, you can be a little flirty, like, oh, what do you like, what are you looking for on here? Do you want just like a companion, or do you want to like have fun and play? And when I mean play, I mean like flirting, like I guess it lends itself to eroticism, but it depends on how spicy someone wants to go. And then you can go the full like Monty, which is like you can do the chatting, but it can become very, very flirtatious and spicy. And then extra step, you can do camming. If you've never done camming before, which I had not, um, just be prepared, because I did not know going into it. When I got my first video call talking to someone, the man was completely naked and he was, engaging in self-pleasure. I don't know what words I can use on YouTube, but he was engaging in self-pleasure, and I was like, I'm sorry, there were two guys my very first camming sessions, but I think I'm referencing the second one. But it caught me off guard, because I didn't know. I saw a thing that said, oh, someone wants to do a video call with you. I'm like, okay, but I see the guy completely unclothed, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Like and I think people probably could see like my newness, or my noviceness in that. And I was just like, and he's like, oh, and he slowly kind of, some of the men were understanding, and I told him, well, I was new to this site, and some of them were like, well, I want you to do this, I want you to talk dirty to me, I want you to do this, and I'm like, I was just like, ee! Because I'm so new, like, I'm not, as a person, even just out of that, like, personally as a person, I am not, like, it's, put it this way, it's taken a lot for me to take sexy, spicy photos of myself, like in lingerie, just personally. If you haven't watched my Coffee and Cuppies vlog, I basically talk about, like, I literally was the type of person, I was afraid to walk past Victoria's Secrets, because I legit was like, oh my god, like, I was like, no, I was like, oh my god, I can't, like, because there was women that were barely clothed in like scantily clad lingerie, like, I was like, no, I can't look at this, I felt almost very sinful. So for me to go from, like, not to say like I'm not wholesome anymore, but I'm a lot more, I think, experienced than I was before. And I'm happy about that, because I was kind of in the dark about a lot of things when it came to intimacy and sexual pleasure and sexuality. So now I've kind of like completely turned the page, and now I'm kind of like just, I'm embracing like this whole new side of me, which is pretty cool. I am going to probably get a lot of flack for it, to be honest. People are going to probably call me a fake Christian and call me a whore and say stuff like that, because it's SW work, it's not something that people do on a daily basis. Now maybe, I don't know, who knows, there could be lawyers and doctors who have OnlyFans accounts and they do it on the side, and, who knows. there can be a bunch of people, but I think, you know, it has been kind of a, it's been interesting to say the least. But I will say the first, like that camming, because it's called camming. So camming, if you don't know what that is, it's when you are, it could be streaming of anything, you know, streaming could relate to, and camming doesn't have to be erotic, it could just be people sharing about themselves and, you know, to a public forum or on a social media platform, and people can tune in and watch. Or it could be, yes, it could be erotic, it depends. But I was kind of thrown into that, and I did not know what I was getting into at all. So yeah, that was kind of, I will be honest, like that was different for me, because I was connecting with people on over the interweb and the internet that I'd never met before, right? These are strangers, so I could have literally been talking to a convicted felon or an ex-con and not even known it, right? And you say, oh, but how do you not know that? Well, it lends itself, the environment that you're first getting into. So just, I'm glad I did it, because it prepared me for what OnlyFans would be like. It was a good, like, precursor to that, because I was talking to people that I didn't know. It's very transient. It's very, I don't want to say superficial, but the people on there are either, like, you're there to, like, play. And when I say play, I mean in the context of eroticism, right? And there's a spectrum to that. You can go from, like, mild flirting where you're, like, just sexting, or you can go to, like, you know, sending sexy pictures or sending sexy videos, to full-blown, like, camming where you are, you know, you can be unclothed or you can have your clothes on, and that person is engaging in, you know, self-pleasure, or you engage in self-pleasure. So yeah, you have to be mindful of that. But my first few sessions, I didn't even realize. So I didn't realize until after that someone brought it to my attention about rates. So you get to set your rate. And I remember I went to the page that said payout, and it was like, literally, it said something with the phone, and it had the video thing, and it had a rate by it. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So I don't know how to explain it too well, but the men or the women, if you're the consumer, you buy drinks. So they pay money on a credit card to buy drinks to be able to talk to people on the website. On the other side, on the receiving end, is the one providing the service of, like, talking, right? Which initially I didn't know I thought it was just like a dating app, like you getting to know people and having fun and chatting and being flirty, right? That's literally what I thought it was, innocently. And then it wasn't until, like, my third or fourth video in, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, and then I looked at a page, and it said balance, it said payout balance. Within 4 days, I had made $1,000. I was shocked. Like, legitimately, I was like, why is money, like, I didn't understand it. I was like, why is money coming into my account? So I thought that was, like, money to use to talk to the guys. I didn't realize that was actual money I was earning to talk to men. Now, yes, does it feel a little bit seedy and sleazy? Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm a good girl. I don't like to use people. I'm not manipulative. I'm not coercive. I don't use dark psychology to try to get my way. I am who I am. I am very, like, this is me. I'm kind of quirky. I'm kind of bubbly. When I have laser focus, I'm in my A game. I become unstoppable. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's true. And I am relentless in the pursuit of excellence. If there's something I do not know, I will literally be like a little, you know, hamster on a wheel, and I will scurry, and I will, like, figure out how to get shit done. Because that's just who I am. I never like to put myself in a situation where I feel incompetent and not confident, because I want to feel like I know what I'm doing, so I can be able to, and I have the skills and abilities, so I can be able to demonstrate and exercise the skills in that platform, or whatever, in whatever capacity or role that is, not necessarily OnlyFans, just anything in life. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember my thought pattern in terms of my legs. I'm just stretching out my legs. You can't see my legs, but my legs are completely stretched out like this. But I did lose my train of thought. But going back to just talking, in general about Friendly, and how, yes, I started to accrue money, and I was like, it was very foreign to me. I was kind of just, it was like, honestly like a blessing, because I was, for lack of a better word, because I moved so much, and I was out of work and been unemployed. I literally, my bank account was like close to zero. I like to say bikini bottom because it's a little bit more digestible, you know, for me. It doesn't, I like to keep things, I try to see the silver lining in everything. I try to look for the good in everything. So even if I'm like in the pits, you know, and like everything's going to shit, and not in a delusional sense. I don't mean like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore the obvious and ignore all the negative things. No, I like to turn pain into power. I use pain as rocket fuel, essentially, and the catalyst to light a fire under my butt to do, like, be effective and amass change in some way. So I said to myself, I was like, okay, that's why I said, let me try OnlyFans. I was like, maybe it's a last resort, because let me tell you, I had applied to over 250 jobs. I'm not kidding. Within the span of the last 6 to 8 months, I've applied to so many jobs remotely. And yes, I did have one in the mental health industry, but I don't think it was going to be a good fit. I didn't get good vibes overall from my coworkers. And I know you can say, oh, but you need to suck it up, and like, no, we all have coworkers we don't like. No, I did not feel this was going to be a good fit. And also, I think I was just burnt out. The training program for the job was a really great startup. I don't have anything bad to say about it necessarily, but it was a very intense training with a lot of material and content that I would have had to learn in a short amount of time. And my brain, I couldn't be able to do it. And everything happens for a reason, so I let that opportunity go. There was another remote opportunity in a sales position, but it was very much focused on like a competitive aspect of it, and it wasn't a right fit for me. So I decided to forego that opportunity, and just because, and I don't want to put it down, because this company is very reputable. If I had a child, it was in the education sector. If I had a child, I would sign my child up for the service, because it was a tutoring service, and I was basically selling and trying to align the proper tutor, or I was going to try to get a coordinator to get the person who was inquiring about the service to try to get them to sign up. Essentially, I was like a sales representative, but I was a coordinator essentially, right? But it became more about the competition between my cohort or coworkers than actual work. So I said, no, this is not going to be a right fit, because I wanted to focus on, making the sale, but building relationships and giving people pleasurable experiences over the phone. Which, no, I don't mean in terms of eroticism. I mean in terms of like sales, right? So I did that, and that was back in November last year. My dog is sitting in the corner of the kitchen. I have to feed her soon. She's giving me the eye of like, hurry up, lady. So anyways, so I've been out of work for like quite some time now. And that's okay, because life is a journey, and I remind myself to give myself grace. It's not my fault. People can be really mean, really, really mean. I was going to say effing mean, but I'm trying to not curse as much, but they can be really mean, and I can't change people. So that's why I literally have on my background, I have let them on my background, because I'm trying to. It's so hard. Oh my God, is it so hard? Because when you have people who hack you and stuff and try to cyberbully you, you can't, and if you don't have the proof of it either, bro, forget about it. Like, forget about it. You know? Because literally I reached out to law enforcement and everything, and I literally was just like a little fish, like, meow, you know, like those little fish that you, like, like the buoy in the ocean, just flowing, waiting for for a sign, just, and I never got it, which is crazy, because I'm such an idealist. Like, if something goes wrong in life and society, for me, in my world, in Ashley's world, there's nothing that's impossible. Like, literally, that's how I think. Like, nothing is impossible to me. It sounds really delusional, but it's the truth. Like anything. So yeah, anyways, I didn't have work or whatever, and I I'm trying to remember if did I work at another company? I'm trying to remember. I tried to complete a TEFL course, which TEFL, the abbreviation stands, or the acronym stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. I am not certified in that, and I didn't know you had to be to teach it, because I thought, okay, what are remote options? I thought freelancing, and then I thought teaching online, right, to teach abroad or whatever. It's a lot more comprehensive than what I thought, and to be honest, I'm just like, if I'm not motivated to do it, then that's an indication to me that I'm not really interested in it. So I kind of was like, I'm not gonna even bother, you know. So yeah, I'm trying to think of any other jobs. I applied to a bunch of jobs. Oh, I did have 2 interviews. One was a major letdown because it seemed very promising. It was for sales. It was for software sales, but for health and wellness. And the first round was great. She seemed like a wonderful, genuine recruiter. Second round, that interview, I could tell he did not want to be there. I think he underestimated me as a person, and I didn't think, I just knew. I'm very intuitive. If you haven't seen my other channel, watch Coffee and Cuppies. I'm almost borderline, you could say almost psychic if you want. And, but that's, psychic gifts run on a spectrum. So there's like clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience. So I would say the clair that I have is claircognizance. So being able to know stuff about somebody before they even speak, you know, I'm not going to get too much into it, but you can call me like the cosmic OF person. I don't know. Anyways, I could just sense that wasn't going to be a good opportunity, so, you know, they told me that they were going in another direction, which was fine. I roll with the punches. I'm like, you know, what I say is rejection is God's protection, and best believe it, because it's true. Or the universe's protection, whatever you want, whatever floats your boat, whatever you believe in, you know. So that fell through, and then there was another job. Oh, there was it was on Indeed, like an open call for like CVS Health. And I also did, I think I did a fake job interview as well for like another company in New Jersey. It just didn't seem like, and I never even heard back from them, so I was like, forget about it. So I continued to try to, you know, I applied to a bunch of jobs. I have like 5 resumes. I have like a resume for hospitality. I have a resume for healthcare. I have a yoga resume, a sales resume. So like, I tried. I even applied for the FBI at one point. I am not kidding. So when I say I exhausted all resources, I mean I exhausted all resources. Like legitimately. So, you know, the federal sector, law enforcement, like I literally traversed all sectors. Early childhood education, everything. But now we are here, right? So, that's when I told myself, when my bank account, so the moment I started getting like the credit card alerts, like your card is going to be at risk for decline. You missed a payment. And then they tack on the late fees. I was like, oh crap. And then I don't mind sharing, I had a savings account for stocks. I basically went through that, you know, so I went through all my savings, I went through my everything. So I said to myself, I need a game plan, I need to do something. And that's how I decided, let me try OnlyFans. And this is funny because this is coming from someone who was a virgin until 32, which is also my journey on Coffee and Cuppies, which I explained about. And if you look at my pictures, people will be like, there's no way she was... No. When I tell you that if there is something I do not know, I study that shit. And I watch it, I observe, I get all my resources, I exhaust all my resources, and I emulate that which I observe, right? So I said to myself, okay, how do Victoria's Secret's people pose in pictures? And I'm not going to show the pictures, but I try to emulate that. And the videos and stuff. Now, some of the stuff, I will be honest, I'm completely foreign to, like, you know, in terms of eroticism, like self-pleasure and, you know, even camming. But, like, I learn as I go. And I don't really have time to sit there and, like, I research. What I did is I created my page, and I'm researching as I go, and I'm creating kind of a strategy of what I want my page to look like. And I will say one thing that does differ, I'm not trying to do my sales pitch, but one thing I think that will differentiate me from other creators is that I am very natural, I am very real, and I'm very authentic. And I think what the industry is leaning towards is what they call the girlfriend experience, where yeah, you might say, oh my god, you're going to pay someone to be your girlfriend. Well, I hope, which would be really cool, if I can cater to people who, like, let's say someone's wife passed away and they want company, right? Or they haven't dated. Let's say there's a guy who has recently divorced, right? And he doesn't want to go into the dating pool. It's been really rough, and he's like, hey, what if I mean, granted, I don't know how they're going to find me on OnlyFans, because OnlyFans is very saturated with a lot of pornographic material. So I kind of want to give this different kind of experience of, like, a genuine experience of what someone would be like if they knew me, right? But they get to receive the benefits of pleasure, but then also of companionship, right? But mind you, but virtually, not like in person. I want to preface that. I don't, there's nothing in person, because first of all, I found out that OnlyFans will, like, ban somebody if you actually meet someone in person. Like, no kidding. So, like, be very mindful of that. I didn't know that until after, like, recently I actually did, like, meet somebody, but there was no monetary exchange involved. This was just like a friendly, like, oh, I want to, to meet somebody, which I don't even know if I should share this on YouTube, but innocently, as a friend, right, kind of thing. And, so, but ever since then I decided, I go, nope, I am not going to meet anybody in person ever again on OnlyFans, because at the end of the day, I want it's a business, right? It's a professional arrangement and service, so just like anything else, right? But that is my journey so far. I have 46 people. Yay! I'm not so focused on, it would be cool if every day, like, yeah, maybe someone new subscribes or whatever. I don't know how they find my page. I'm promoting it on, not really too much, to be honest. I'm not really promoting it anywhere, except now, like, on YouTube, but, like, on Instagram, I've used my link tree in there, because Instagram apparently, which I don't, let me tell you, my qualm or my plight with Instagram, okay, this is weird in terms of, because you hear all the time on OnlyFans creators sites or videos where they're like, promote on Instagram, promote on Reddit, whatever. Instagram, apparently there's certain things and parameters that you cannot post about, like nudity and, like, suggestive content that's, like, sexually explicit, obviously, right, or sexually suggestive, right? But the weird part is, I googled, like, can you promote lingerie? And you can, but nudity in a sense of, like, there's women's in, like, thongs and bikinis with cleavage, so I'm like, I don't know what exactly is appropriate and what's not on there. I'm still trying to navigate that, and honestly, what I did is my idea of what I wanted to go for, which I was going to try to get into doing, like, brand ambassador stuff, where basically I haven't generated any income from that, I'm going to be honest. I haven't gotten anything, but it's a good segue to, or a good way to use to be able to promote, I guess, OnlyFans material and content, because I don't want to be, I think there's, when you talk about OnlyFans, I think there's so many women out there, immediately you think big breasts, right? You think big breasts, bubble butt, tan, girl on the beach with a beautiful stare into the picture, like doing that kind of thing with her butt, like, whatever, and then in a bikini in, like, the sun with the palm trees, and there's so many women doing that, and that's a dime a dozen, and these women, they are putting that stuff up on Instagram, because I have someone who I connected with, it was through Friendly, he actually was, like, telling me, oh, this is the kind of stuff they put on OnlyFans, and I'm like, oh god. He's like, the more you do, the more you make. I'm like, oh god, Jesus. But he showed me an example of a girl who's on OnlyFans who has a lot of followers. He showed me her Instagram page, and boy, like, this girl is, like, butt out, titty, like, everything out, like, and I'm like, so my Instagram is very, very, like, nothing in comparison, and I'm kind of using it kind of to speak my voice as well. So where is it? I'm trying to find it. Beep, 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 beep. This is kind of an example of my Instagram here. So there's nothing at all. The only ones that are, see, this is, I did a picture of myself doing, like, ballet. because I love ballet and dance, but this is the most, so I put on my thing that I'm a, which is true, this is not a lie, a verified UGC model, so UGC means user-generated content, and I put content creator, and I put keep it classy, never trashy, never let anyone dim your light, you were meant to shine, overcomer, and then I put a disco ball, because I did, so I did get some, I modeled some sunglasses recently for they're actually really good sunglasses, I'm not gonna lie. Like, so this is kind of an example of what I still can't believe this is me. Like, I really can't. I look at the pictures and I'm like, bro. I'm like, so then this was another thing I modeled, like I tried it, but they haven't written me back yet. So I sent my submission for that. But just to give an idea of how I'm using Instagram to try to promote OnlyFans, I don't directly promote it at all. Like, zero. I did follow some OnlyFans agencies, so I don't know if that helps at all. And that was genuinely, like, I was interested in OnlyFans agencies, which I'll talk about in another video about my experience with that so far and what I've learned. But this is probably the most, I don't know, out there. That was me in lingerie, my very first time. In fact, the lingerie, I'm wearing lingerie right now. But that was me, and and I did tag the company that the lingerie belongs to, and that's me as well, in a very, very candid, raw form, which I never thought I would do, ever. I even look at this, I'm like, who is that girl? Because that is just crazy. And then I have me doing yoga. So, yeah, it's, I can't, I don't know, again, what's going to come out of it. But, I'm going to do my best and hope for the best. And, that's all I can do. But that's kind of my story and how I got into it. I am very, very new to it. There's things that I'm still learning. I did my first live stream, but with one person, not with multiple people. I am going to document my experience of being on OnlyFans on YouTube, so you can join in. If you're someone that's kind of scared to do it, join in and take the plunge with me, because it is scary. I'm going to be honest, and this is, I think, another part that I want to talk about is, which I don't know if I should do in a separate video, but you have to be mentally strong. People will push your boundaries. You're going to get odd requests and trolls and people. You may have to block some people. I've already had to block 2 people. And I can go into that another video later, but like, you are showing the most intimate, vulnerable parts of yourself. I consider OnlyFans, if you're going to use it to do, like sexual content and whatnot, I look at OnlyFans as like a virtual Playboy kind of platform, if you will. And just to preface, OnlyFans is not just for that kind of content. It's also for people who do music, dance, some form of artistry, whatever. It doesn't always have to be sexually suggestive. So I'm using it in that way because I heard that it could be beneficial or lucrative. I will be honest, I'm not as much of a shark or money hungry as some of the other women are. I'm just being dead honest. Like, I'm just not, because I'm not going to sit. The times are rough. People's wallets are tight. On the flip side, you have other people who can spend the money, right? It's really also, it's a test of morality, honestly. Like, how far are you willing to go to, like, what are your ethics and boundaries? Because how far are you willing to go? Like, how much are you willing to show to make money? This is, I consider, like I said, my lady parts, that's, which I'm not planning on having kids anytime soon, but that's the home to a child one day. Not my lady parts, the uterus, whatever, and the vaginal area is a home to a child one day. And would you want that on your page? Which I have, I had to go back and forth and decide, if that was something that I wanted to do, because I said, and I think one thing that I do like about OnlyFans is that as the creator, it puts you're in the driver's seat. You choose how you want to be portrayed. You choose the manner and the context and the light in which you want to be seen. So, I just think you have to be mindful, and it's on there forever. Like, literally, the OnlyFans, they have something called a vault. They save all your pictures. which is good. So it's kind of like a cloud-based service when you think about it. And I literally have like, I'm contemplating legit. Another thing is I'm contemplating getting another phone, like in addition to this one, like my personal phone, because I literally have no storage on this one at all. And I buy extra storage, iCloud storage, like 2 terabytes worth. I don't even know where it is, because unless I've used it all, which I don't think will be the case. But I bought extra storage, and I still don't even know if it's being of use anywhere, because I'm literally not, I don't know, because I get reminders every single day that like I need to delete stuff. So yeah, but be mindful, be ready for, you know, some odd requests and some really pushy people, and people will push your boundaries. Just know that, like, you're gonna have men who don't care about you and don't see you as anything more than your PUSSY and your tetas. Spanish for breasts and titties. I will say knowing sales psychology, I think, also helps. I've decided on my page, and this is just my prerogative, promos I think are great, you know, because that's a good way to attract people in, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And also too, like, I'm so new, it would be silly of me, like, I thought the other day, I was like, oh, maybe I can offer like a 3-tiered package system where I do like the silver, gold, platinum, and I do like a, you know, they buy, I don't have enough fans to even offer that. But my mind already, I'm like, oh, I want to do this and this and this idea, and theme Thursdays and this, and sudsy Saturdays. I literally had the idea of like, this sounds bad, and if you're not interested in this, please don't watch anymore, because this is kind of the content I'm considering creating, and if it doesn't align with who you are and your morals, I completely understand and respect that. But I did have an idea where I would be live streaming, like preparing to go into the shower, or actually like having the phone with me and live streaming while I like bathe myself. I know that sounds inappropriate for some people, but I was going to call it Sudsy Saturday or Sexy Sundays or whatever. And then, you know, I was going to have in the live stream have the people tell me where they want me to touch myself. I know that sounds kind of like salacious and perverse or whatever, but that's the idea I was going with. So I think having some bit of creativity is helpful, because there's so many people doing this thing. I didn't realize how many women do this. Apparently there's like 3 million or 5 million. Like, it's crazy. And you're not going to get super well known right away. So the one thing I want to finish with. So how did I get the people that I have now? Well, when I was on the Friendly site, I was talking to different people, and at the end of the conversation, I would say, hey, if you like what you saw, then go check me out. Actually, I didn't get into that marketing point of that until later. In the beginning, I innocently, it would just come up in conversation. They said, why are you on the site? And I said, well, I heard it was good for OnlyFans, so that's why I'm doing it. I was very legit, like, I do not lie. I cannot lie for diddly squat. So, you know, I was going to say SHIT, but I'm trying to be proper. But, yeah, so wholeheartedly, that's exactly why I decided to, you know, I told them, I said, oh, I'm doing this because I have OnlyFans, and then I would reference my page, and then I acquired some followers in that way. Now, I will say, because I started off, it was a dating site that I was, you know, doing that on innocently, right, promoting my page. Some of the followers that I got from that, I don't think, I've noticed that they're not really engaging with me that much, or the content, or the chats that I'm having are very, like, you know, like as if it was a dating app, right? And OnlyFans is not a dating app. It's not a dating service. It's not a dating platform. It's strictly for content creators to put out their content. So I learned later on, I was like, okay, I don't want to fall into the trap of like having the conversation just be, you know, generalized or more so about someone getting to know me because they're not engaging with my material or the content I'm putting out. So yeah, so be mindful of that. You know, be mindful of the audience you're targeting to try to get them to come to your page, because if you're, and also dating apps, that's not allowed. Don't use Tinder, don't use Bumble, don't use Hinge, because that's not allowed. I googled it. And there's some videos on YouTube, they shouldn't be promoting that, and apparently they are doing that, and you're not supposed to do that, because then you're soliciting, I guess, yeah, you're soliciting sex, because, you know, you don't want to do that. So anything else I'm trying to think of? But so far, I will say it has been fun, kind of, you know, navigating the platform. Um, I'm trying to get in a system of, for me, I created an Excel spreadsheet, so I'm doing like a game called King of the Week, you know, to try to vote for the most loyal fan who likes and comments and engages with me and on the feed, and then also who buys and purchases at least 2 services or 1 pay-per-view post or whatever. Because basically everything is locked. You know, whether you have a free page or not, you can post things for free, like where you show the content for free, or you can put it behind a paywall and they have to pay money to purchase it. So I'm trying my hand at that. I was considering also maybe making another page and make it like a paid page. So that's another thing I forgot to mention. So you can have a free subscription or a paid subscription. So I'm doing a free subscription because, again, I humble myself. To me, to offer and this was also going by the advisement of other content creators that were talking about OnlyFans, I think it would be silly of me to, like, honestly be like, I'm going to put my page at $5.99 and I'm a new person and everyone's going to subscribe. That's silly to me. I don't think that's realistic and that's not fair, because at the end of the day, you're a new creator and, you know, people are just starting to get to know you. So yeah, that's how I see it. So mine is free. I do offer some content like on the paywall where they have to pay, and I'm offering promos because, you know, it's a great way it's almost like when you think of like when you go to a mall and they have a platter in front of, like, in the food court, you know, and I used to remember when there was a mall in Miami called Dayland Mall, and I used to love to go to one of the restaurants called Cajun Grill, and the ladies used to have the bourbon chicken, like, ready in a little, like, copita, and you take a little stick and whatever. So I look at it as, I give them a sample, right? And then if they like it, they'll want to get more, right? So I do a lot of that. I may do, like, a 30-second video or, like, a cute selfie or whatever, and you know, go by that. And then if they like what they see, they'll get it. And then I'm trying to utilize the DM aspect more, the messaging aspect more. I do use Canva to create little ads and things like that because I think that's going to be helpful. Plus, it makes it look super professional. Like, I remember I did one recently called OF After Hours, which I realized it starts soon because I'm doing an OF After Hours special from 11 to 2 a.m. Where I'm offering, I believe, sexting at like half off or something. I don't remember. But I did do that as a promo, and we'll see. And also I'm trying to figure out how to play around with, like, setting my hours and stuff, because also if you track trends and you look at data, right, and metrics, I'm trying to figure out when the most engagement happens for me in terms of the United States Eastern Standard Time. So OnlyFans is a UK based company, but they also operate out of different places, you know, in the world. I think, not mean to operate, sorry, that's the wrong word. It's based out of the UK, but it's available in, I think, like, Australia, I think Canada, the US, I don't know what other countries as well, but those are the ones that I know off the top of my head. So, you know, I do have people, one guy said he's from France, another guy said he's from Italy, another guy, I have some, which is pretty cool. I was like, that's pretty cool, because I never thought I'd be talking to a Frenchman or an Italian or an Aussie. So yeah, that's nice. What else is there to say? But yeah, I am kind of trying to figure out scheduling wise, like, you know, and what's working and what's not. Like, is there a certain service that's being gravitated to more, or is like pay-per-view post doing better? And so I did create a tip menu as well. It's really cute and I'm super proud of it. And yeah, so anyways, we'll see how it goes. It may fail miserably, or I'm not, honestly, my goal, I'm not looking, I know some people are like, I want to be in the top 0%. I'm not trying to compete with those ladies. They got their thing. If I can make at least $1,000 in a month, or at $800, I will be a happy little camper. If I make $500, bro, this month, I will be a happy camper. $500 is like minuscule. And other people will be like, you should aim higher, shoot for the stars. I'm be like, no, but I'm realistic, you know. So, but 500, but 1,000 would be amazing. But you know, I am relentless and I don't give up. But I want to do it, honestly, I want to do it in a genuine, wholehearted way. Like, I don't want to price gouge people. It is, I will be honest, the sales aspect of it is fun. When you make a sale, you're like, oh my god, I did it. You're like, holy crap. You're like, damn, I'm like, people like my stuff. Like, that's a really rewarding feeling. And also, too, to be someone who's, because I'm the one taking the photos of myself. I put my phone on a timer, and I have to do the poses. And let me tell you, I sometimes look at my pictures and I'm like, that's me? Like, I did that? Because if I tell you, like, growing up, I was not at all like that. Not flirtatious, not seductive, not a temptress, not a siren type of energy. I was very, like, I don't know, like, go to the library during lunch and eat by myself, you know. Run away immediately once school was over and go back home in my room and listen to, like, Broadway show tunes or something. I don't know, like, secretly. Or, you know, watch Gilmore Girls or Vampire Diaries or something, you know. I was very, you know, I was not the ostentatious, be in the limelight. So to take selfies and stuff, that in itself is weird. It's so weird. Like, I have never taken as many selfies of myself than I have in the past, like literally in the past, I don't know how many years of my life, I've only had 5 to 8 selfies of myself. And now I have, like, a lot, like, at least over 50. And they're all in very, like, suggestive poses, which, you know what, it is what it is. I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. They're not going to be my cup of tea, you know, but we could still live cohesively in harmony. Because I know people are going to be like, OnlyFans is toxic, it's so gross, those are perverse men. Well, I don't want to cater to the perverse men. If a guy demeans me, I literally have a disclaimer on my page that says, like, if we want to get technical, I have a disclaimer. Where is it? I think it's on the tip menu post. I literally say, on June 4th, 2025, all direct message conversations will be monetized unless otherwise specified. And the reason why I say this is just because, on purpose, I learned that I was engaging with people who were not engaging with me, and they were just talking to me. And that was my fault, because I initially was just, like, trying to draw people to my page, but I was starting to fall into this trap of, like, oh, we're not talking about anything content related, we're just talking. So I said, any conversation occurring prior to that date are exempt from this disclaimer. There will be no engagement in any other conversation unrelated to OnlyFans material, content production, and inquiries, unless the fan/follower has purchased the girlfriend experience, which may include, but is not limited to, sexual conversation, casual communication, and intellectual discussion. And then I go on to cite, like, specifically the part that I think is important to note, and this is if anyone does watch it and they want to look at my page. I put the following types of encounters will not be presented or offered on this platform: GG action, which is girl-girl action; BB action, which is boy-boy action; peach play, which I'm not going to say if you don't know what peach is, but, you know, bottom parts, derriere play; female ejaculation; BDSM, sexualization of animals; verbal, nonverbal abuse, insults, screaming, yelling, arguing, biting, hitting, / intercourse between multiple partners, i.e. explaining what that means; sexual encounters between family members; self-harming or self-injurious behaviors; satanic sexual rituals; sexual acts involving minors; MILF content, DILF content, sexual acts involving or referencing the deceased; sexual acts involving inanimate objects. And then I put, if at any point the consumer is dissatisfied with the services offered or feels wronged in any way, it is advisable for said consumer to notify the administrator, me, first before contacting OnlyFans support in an effort to resolve the issue and determine the appropriate course of actions. Services will not be provided to anyone under the age of 18. So, that is my disclaimer. And I put that on purpose because I realized some of the conversations I was having with individuals were starting to veer on perverse and borderline harassment, which will be in another video. But as of right now, I am just enjoying the process. I have not, in terms of pricing, again, I'm not looking to price gouge or overcharge people, because that's just not realistic, because I'm really new. And yeah, so I haven't made a lot. I've made, I think, where's my statement thing? So I know I did receive $47 to my bank account recently. I selected weekly payouts. You can select, the options are manual payouts, weekly payouts, monthly payouts, right? I selected weekly payouts, and then apparently, so what I've come to understand is that the payment is pending from the person, and OnlyFans has to approve it. Because what happens is you go to the earnings, and it says status, and I think it said earning will become available in 7 days. So they don't pay you right away. You don't receive that. It's kind of like if you've ever used Rakuten, which used to be Ebates. It's the same idea. They kind of have the cashback is pending until they finally approve it after XYZ amount of time. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. But I've made, I think, how can I see what I've made so far? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh wow, I've earned a lot more than I thought. Okay, so gross it says $312. Net, because they take away 20%, OnlyFans keeps 20%, it says $249. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know this, but again, they don't pay you. I actually, oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I thought I made like $160. I didn't realize I literally made, I made more than I thought. Yay! Kudos to me! And let me tell you, this is coming from a girl who has been through so much caca. I don't want to say SHIT, and I say caca because, like, I have been through so much caca. So I'm very grateful for how far I've come, and, you know, I can't say, I think, like one girl said, one day you can make $100, another make you day 1,000. I have not made 1,000, but it'd be really cool if I did. And I want to do it in a classy way, not a trashy way. So if you are interested in following me on that journey, please join me. And I will, provide as much, information as I can about the platform in a positive light. I'm not going to shy away from the things that I think may be more negative in nature. But, I'm all about helping other people. I will say, check out, there is a woman's page. Her name is Linny May, but she goes by Linny Licks, and then I purchased, which I need to read, she has like a mentoring, tutoring course on OnlyFans, and I purchased her channel is called Creators for Beginners, so I purchased her handbook, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know, but it's just cool to be able to feel like you're in charge of something, right? Because like it's your baby versus somebody else's. Like I will say that the last little tidbit I realize is that I've always kind of been a creative soul, and I've thought that I had to be a 9 to 5 type of girl, meaning like I thought that I had to do the corporate thing, and I realized I've never really been happy doing the corporate thing. I was happiest, the job that I really loved the most, I loved child life therapy, don't get me wrong, I loved helping kids. I would volunteer at a hospital if I could right now. If I had a hospital close by, I would help children and not get paid for it. I love children. I love helping kids that much. So that's not necessarily it. But what I really loved serving a lot. Hospitality was fun. I think one of my favorite jobs was working as a server in Miami at a casual family Italian style eatery. He was one of the best bosses I ever had in my life. Also working at a steakhouse as well. I loved that experience. I wish there was I would totally work at a restaurant right now if I could, if I was nearby one, but the nearest one is 20 minutes away, so I can't do that by walking, by foot. So I am, yeah, that's another reason why I want to move. But anyways, yeah. I'm trying to remember what else. There was another point I was going to make, but I forgot, and I apologize. My brain is still healing from trauma, so forgive me. I can sometimes lose my train of thought. But yeah, it's a growing experience. It's a learning process. I may not get it right the first time, and I hope I can share some information. That's what I was gonna. Oh, Linny Licks. So yes, I purchased her content. Her channel is called Creators for Beginners. Another lady I watch is Melrose Michaels. Her channel is SWCEO. That one, she's super helpful. Like that girl, like God bless her soul. Like she's giving away the arsenal and tips and tricks to like be a really, like, it's amazing. Like, and she's super pretty too. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to compare to other people, which I try not to compare myself to other people, as per my favorite poem by Max Ehrman called The Desiderata. So I will not compare myself to others, because there will always be someone greater and lesser than yourself. If you have not checked out that poem, please do so. That's like my manifesto for life. But anything else I'm trying to remember that is important? I will say, if you are someone that's not broke, have a budget. Have a budget for your content, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to buy. Like, I bought a dress recently and that was like $96. And it was for Instagram, so I can do, user-generated content. I want to buy something that falls on the lines of, I can't really say. I don't know if I could say it on YouTube, because I've never had one before, but put it this way, it's supposed to help with female pleasure. And it's sometimes they are phallic shaped, and sometimes they are smaller and more compact and meant to provide stimulation locally to a part of the female anatomy, if you catch my drift. So I wanted to get that, and they are not cheap. Lingerie as well, that's another thing. Costumes, or cosplay. There's a like workout cat suit situation that I want to get really badly, just because it looks like the Catwoman kind of suit. So I want to get that. Beep bop boop bop boop bam. Oh, a little microphone thing for when I vlog or whatever. I want to get that. I want to get a new iPhone, which I don't even know if I can afford, but I want to get one. And Apple came out with a pink iPhone, like, it's super cute. But I did actually, so one of the girls in a video, she said that she actually has like 3 or 4 phones, which is crazy. But don't quote me on it. I forgot the name of her. Sapphire, something, Sapphire Rose, Sapphire Fire, I don't remember. I just know it's Sapphire something. And she has like a bunch of different phones, and she has different accounts to promote her OnlyFans, so I don't know. I'm trying to think of all these different things, but I'm trying to also not get so exhausted and burn myself out, because I've noticed that, like, I'm basically having fun being sexy or whatever, but like I get to get paid for it, which is pretty cool, like, when you think about it. But at the same time, like, it can be exhausting. So, I'm learning about that. But yeah. So I hope that's helpful for somebody. I hope this video records, because I don't remember, sometimes my videos, I'll record them and then I'll look and they won't record at all. So hopefully this one does. If not, I'll just re-record it. But I hope my words were of value to somebody, or helpful. And if anything, I'm just gonna, chronicle my journey, because it's a journey, and we need more people to, especially women. I feel like women these days, we need to empower other women. Women, there's I leave you with this. This is there's a quote, not a quote. She did a speech. Chimamanda Ngozi. I can't pronounce her name right, and I love her words, and I can't pronounce. This is so Chimamanda Ngozi. Anyways, she did an excerpt in Beyonce's song "Flawless," and right? Yes, I'm trying to remember. And she talks about how women, why are women not taught, we can't be sexual beings in the ways that boys are, right? And then we teach women to be competitors for each other, for just in general. And it's true, we have to look better than the other woman, we have to dress better, we have to be sexier, and it's like, I wish women, that's when I learned about this with OnlyFans, is that I'm going about it with the approach of celebrating every one of these women that are putting themselves out there in a very vulnerable, intimate way, mind you. And some men can be very unforgiving and ruthless and merciless and disgusting and perverse, so we have to be very careful, because there are men out there who will take advantage of us and other women, right? And they think that they're entitled because we're just putting content out there that it's like sexually suggestive, so they automatically come to these conclusions that we're just going to be opening ourselves up to whoever and being willing to do whatever, which is not necessarily the case and not true. So I do hope that, like, we'll celebrate other women, because and we all, at the end of the day, we're all, I think what I'm learning is that there's people with different niches. There's moms on OnlyFans. I didn't even know this. There's moms on OnlyFans who have kids and they're, you know, doing what they gotta do. And there's people who, one lady apparently cooks topless and she has a cooking show. Like, you know, there's so many variations. So to sit there and be like, oh, that woman's my competition, that's not fair, because I think everyone is doing their own thing and has their own niche, and there's going to be a target audience for that. You know, mine is going to be more like, you know, girl next door, maybe good girl with a naughty side or good girl with a spicy side. And I'm okay with that. And if someone's not, that's okay. And if I get judged, I'm going to probably get judged. If I probably would not be able to enter a church because I probably seem very not Catholic, which I'm not. I don't really identify as Catholic anymore. I'm more so like non-denominational, very non-denominational Christian. I'm more spiritual, if anything, and into the metaphysical. So, yeah, I don't think Jesus is going to shun me for, you know, enjoying pleasure. Jesus was with Mary Magdalene, bro. Everyone knows that. Mary Magdalene got her, you know, they did. I don't want to say they got it on, but like, you know what I mean? So it's like, if Jesus was with, you know, Mary Magdalene and she was known as being a WHORE, you know, I don't think Jesus discriminates against anybody, no matter your nationality, ethnicity, gender, or what have you, or sexual orientation. So that's the way I see it. And as long as I'm not overly gluttonous and greedy, I think I'm going to be okay. So, yay.